Boom. Welcome to the GNAR RV episode number 1.
We just became South Dakota residents.
So we figured we'd talk about our experience becoming South Dakota residents and why we did it.
We started thinking that we should become South Dakota residents about, 2 months ago, 3 months ago?
Well, we learned about it a ways back, and we looked in. There was 3 states in particular that we could become full-time residents: Florida, Texas, and South Dakota. And then we kind of had to narrow it down which one would be the best for us.
Right, and we landed on South Dakota for a lot of reasons. Mostly, I would say, convenience to our location because we are out of California, or soon we can say we're out of California because we move into our RV in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So we wanted to actually do our South Dakota residency before we got to full-time RV because it just seemed easier to go ahead and knock that out of the way. And we actually tied it together with a trip to Jackson Hole. So that's where we are right now.
We had the trip to Jackson Hole already planned. We realized that it wasn't too far out of the way to go to South Dakota. So instead of just doing Jackson Hole, we tacked a few days onto the front end of our trip and became South Dakota residents.
Yeah, and it's also winter right now, so the idea of driving to South Dakota in the winter with an RV did not sound very appealing, especially because I've never towed an RV before, so I really didn't want to start off our RV journey with an RV in South Dakota. So in order to get your South Dakota driver's license, there are a few things you have to do.
One of them we were already familiar with because we own a business and we had to do it for that. But you have to get a virtual address.
And there's a lot of companies that run these virtual address, companies. I don't know. There's one called Dakota Post. There's Anytime Mailbox. There's several. And some of them are more expensive than others. Some of them are $60 a month. Some of them are more than that even. It really depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to get out of the mailbox service.
And I think ultimately what it usually boils down to is how much mail you receive. And because we're not planning on receiving too much mail, we were able to go with one of the cheapest options. It ended up being maybe $14.99 a month. And they receive maybe 60 pieces of mail a month.
60 scans, which means they'll scan in 60 pieces of mail, and then you get to choose on an app or on your internet browser if you want them to open the mail, shred it, or recycle it, or they'll forward it to you wherever you are in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They're partnered with South Dakota Residency, who is very helpful with this whole process, and they pointed us in the right direction when it came to registering our vehicles as well as getting our driver's licenses.
Right, so our address is actually a PMB, or post mailbox. It's different than a PO box, so it can actually be used as a physical address. It's what's on our driver's license. And that was one of our first steps to get the driver's license, was to get this virtual post mailbox in order to become a South Dakota resident.
Yes, and like I said, the South Dakota residency was very helpful. They told us about appointments that were required before you go to the DMV. We didn't know that going into it, so fortunately they let us know ahead of time, so we were able to schedule our appointments with the DMV before we went there.
We scheduled our appointment for 8 a.m. on a weekday. I don't even remember which day now.
Friday.
On Friday. So we stayed in a hotel Thursday night. And one of the things that you have to do in order to get your driver's license is show a receipt for this post mailbox because it has your virtual address on it. And then they also require another address. And we used our hotel receipt.
Yeah, South Dakota is one of these crazy states, or the only crazy state that allows you to use a hotel receipt to prove your residency. So we basically went to the front desk of the hotel, told them our post mailbox virtual address. They put that on our receipt, and then we took that to the DMV along with some other documents to prove your identity, social security card, birth certificate, etc., as well as your old ID, and they give you a driver's license.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
If it's maybe a warmer season than winter as it is right now, you might want to go to a campground or even an RV park, but you can use that receipt too, as long as that receipt has your name, and in our case, both of our names, and our post mailbox on it. then that works as your proof of address for South Dakota.
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest. It was my first time going to South Dakota. We did all this in Spearfish, and it's incredibly beautiful. So we were talking about how we're super excited to go back there because it's amazing. The Black Hills National Forest is awesome.
Yeah, now that we're residents, we only have to go once every 10 years, but we might want to go back before that just because it was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. And so you can get your driver's license anywhere in the state of South Dakota. However, registering your vehicles is a little different.
Right. So when you're registering your vehicle, this one's a little trickier. We chose Anytime Mailbox as our virtual mailbox service. So they gave us an address out of Spearfish. Spearfish is in Lawrence County. So we needed to go to the Lawrence County Treasurer's Office in order to register our vehicle. We chose to do that in person because we were already in Spearfish and it's less than 20 minutes away. But you could even register your vehicle through the mail.
And Lawrence County's Treasurer's Office is amazing as well. You can call them with any type of question regarding your vehicle or travel trailer or fifth wheel, and they will tell you exactly the documents you need and what you need to bring when you go there, or if you want to mail them in.
Okay, this was my favorite office. We went in on a Friday because that's when our appointment was, 8 a.m. at the DMV. They got us out of there by 8:30. Seriously, it only took a half hour for both of us to go in and get our driver's license. We drove to the Lawrence County Treasurer's Office, and we were done by 9:30. But the people in this office were the most helpful, so friendly. Everybody's wearing red, which I don't know if you know, but red stands for shoot. Remember everyone deployed, of course. So it's just really patriotic. They had American flags everywhere, bald eagles, just incredibly patriotic. We really felt at home there.
Absolutely. And so if you are a veteran, we both are. We brought our DD-214s, and they'll take care of you as far as getting veteran on your license and as well as specialty license plates if you want those. Mm-hmm. Overall, it was an amazing trip. I had no idea what to expect going to South Dakota. The process was extremely easy, and just like that, we're full-time residents, and we have all of the benefits of South Dakota.
And let's go into a couple of those. So another reason that we chose South Dakota as our primary residency is that we no longer have to pay sales tax, income tax.
State income tax. We pay sales tax wherever we go. Yeah.
Okay, another good point. We had to pay 4% sales tax.
Excise tax. So it's a little different than a sales tax. They call it an excise tax.
Okay.
But for instance, we bought our truck as well as our travel trailer in California and paid a ton in sales tax, unfortunately, right? However, if you can prove that you paid sales tax, we of course had a proof of purchase and all that stuff document with us. We didn't have to pay that again when we went to South Dakota. So that's another important document. We'll include a link in this video with all of the documents you need from the South Dakota website.
Right. South Dakota is a 4% excise tax. So as long as you've paid 4% or more, then you're good to go. Yeah. You don't have to pay it again.
Yeah.
So we no longer have to pay state income tax. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with sales tax.
Another benefit of choosing South Dakota as your domicile state are that the insurance rates are significantly cheaper than most other states.
Yeah, so our truck and trailer, we're obviously going to have to keep paying insurance on them, but it will be lower than California insurance. Yes. And when we went and registered our vehicles, the registration and titles also much lower.
Oh, it's unbelievable. We pay almost $1,000 a year to just register our truck in California, and in South Dakota it's way less, let's just say that.
Yeah. And then I think another huge benefit is that we don't have to go every year to South Dakota for any kind of vehicle inspection or emissions tests.
Yeah, that really was one of the major reasons for us to even do this, because in California, if we were to just keep our address and stuff in California, we were going to have to go back every year or every 2 years just to do a emissions smog check. South Dakota doesn't require that.
Right? So we can spend our time actually traveling and having fun instead of having to deal with paperwork.
Yeah, it's really great. So I would say overall, it's been an amazing trip going to South Dakota. We really loved it. We actually can't wait to go back and visit the place when it's a little bit warmer and get to see what it's all about.
If you have any questions about our process, go ahead and drop us a comment below, and we'd love to hear from you. If you liked the video, go ahead and just subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell your friends.
Yeah, we have a whole podcast called the GNAR Podcast where we go over all of our outdoor adventures, and we wanted to start doing these kind of RV videos because this is another huge part of our life.
If you subscribe to the podcast, we're going to be talking about skiing, obviously, as we are in Jackson Hole, but also whitewater kayaking, mountain biking, backpacking, really just any outdoor sport.
Anything. And we have a business that's called GNAR Outdoors. We're bringing a modular truck rack to the market this fall. So follow along at gnaroutdoors.com.
Happy trails.
See you later.